The sky over Lagos was turning orange, the kind of soft glow that warned night was close. I was barefoot, chasing a dented tin can through puddles, my laughter echoing in the quiet slum street. "Mona Lisa, come inside now, it's getting dark." Catherine's voice called from the wooden doorstep of our small two-room house. Her old wrapper clung to her thin waist, tied just above her belly. She leaned on her walking stick, her voice a mix of love and tired warning. "One more kick, Mama. Just one more," I called back, giggling. My green uniform still hung behind the house, barely dry from last night's rain. But I didn't care. I was only 8, and 8-year-olds don't worry much about dry skirts or missing buttons. Catherine stepped out slowly and opened her wrinkled hand. "Come here," she said gently. "This is your money for lunch tomorrow." A crumpled $1 bill sat in her palm. "Don't lose it," she warned. "And don't even think of buying Puff Puff on the way." I skipped over and kissed her cheek. She smelled like old shea butter and home. "Thank you, Mama," I beamed, tucking the bill deep under the mattress where I kept all my treasures. But I wasn't ready to sleep. Not yet. After she settled on her mat, I tiptoed back outside to play under the moonlight, chasing shadows with my toes. Before I knew it, the rooster's cry sliced through the stillness. "Morning, Mona Lisa." Catherine's voice shot through the door. "You're still sleeping. It's past 6. I jumped up, heart racing. I'm late. My skirt was still damp, but I pulled it on anyway. My blouse had a missing button, so I pinned it with a rusty safety pin. I grabbed my plastic bucket and ran out to wash up. Why didn't I sleep early? I groaned as I splashed water on my face, droplets running down my arms. Back inside, Catherine packed leftover pap into a small cup and handed it to me. "Eat it on the road," she said firmly. "And that money." "In my sock," I replied, already chewing. I bent to double-check it was still there. She shook her head. "Don't be late again. That teacher with the big wig will beat you like you stole something." I hugged her tight. "I love you, Mama." "I love you too, stubborn child. Now run, before the sun finds you." I darted off, dodging puddles and goats. My belly growled. I knew if I walked, I'd miss the gate and get flogged again. But if I took the bus, I wouldn't have lunch. The money in my sock started whispering, "Just today. Just take the bus, Mona Lisa." I stopped at the junction. Danfo buses screamed and smoked into the morning air. A conductor shouted, "CMS. CMS. One more." I bit my lip. If I walk, I'll be late again. If I ride, I'll go hungry. Then I did what desperate kids do. I ran forward and shoved my money into the conductor's dark, greasy hand. "One small girl," I mumbled. "Sit well, oh," he said. "I no get strength for Wahala." I climbed in, heart pounding, guilt crawling up my spine. The bus smelled of sweat, smoke, and tired dreams. I squeezed into a seat between a basket-carrying woman and a man scrolling his cracked phone. My bag hugged my chest as I stared out the window, watching Lagos race by, potholes, hawkers, fumes, chaos. The conductor banged on the roof. "Hold your change, oh, mile 2. CMS we day go." The bus stopped with a screech, throwing me forward. I grabbed the rusty seat. "We never full." The conductor yelled again. "Enter with your change. Fast, fast." That's when she stepped in. A pregnant woman, probably 7 months along, climbed slowly into the bus. Her ankara gown clung to her sweaty body. She held a small handbag in one hand and used the other to steady herself with the rail above. She looked around. No one moved. Not one person made space. The woman stood there, her face tight with discomfort, eyes scanning for kindness. I looked around too. Everyone stared ahead or at their phones, pretending not to see her. I felt something burn in my chest. She looked like my mother might have looked, if I still had her. I stood up slowly. "Auntie, you can sit here." She blinked in surprise. "You sure?" "Yes," I nodded, stepping aside. "My stop is soon." "Thank you," she whispered, easing down with a sigh. The conductor didn't thank me. No one clapped. But in that moment, something warm filled my chest that not even Puff Puff could match. I hung onto the metal bar near the door, heart full, eyes fixed on the road ahead. The woman, Lucy, kept shifting, one hand on her lower belly, the other bracing herself as the bus jerked forward. I could see the strain in her eyes. She closed them briefly, like she needed to catch her breath. Nobody looked at her. One man pretended to sleep, lips parted slightly like he wasn't fooling anyone. Another man started scrolling through his cracked phone screen, headphones in, completely detached. The woman with the baskets beside me just sighed and turned her face to the window. But I couldn't stop looking. Her feet were swollen and stuffed into old plastic slippers. Her lips trembled a little, as if she was hiding pain behind silence. I didn't even think. My legs moved before my brain caught up. "Ma," I said gently, barely louder than the roar of the engine, "you can sit here." Her eyes fluttered open, surprised. "Oh?" she asked. I nodded and slid out of the seat, grabbing onto the rusted pole for balance. "Please." A slow smile lit up her tired face. "God bless you, my dear," she said, easing herself down into the seat with care. I held onto the rail, still standing, my school bag pressed tightly to my chest. "What's your name?" she asked after a minute, glancing up at me. "I'm Mona Lisa." "Mona Lisa," she repeated like it was a treasure. "That's a beautiful name." I blushed a little and smiled. "Thank you, Ma. What's yours?" "Lucy," she said softly, adjusting her bag over her lap. "You're so polite. I've seen grown men pretend to be asleep just to avoid offering a seat. But you, a small girl, you stood up without hesitation." I shrugged, cheeks burning, but I felt proud. "How old are you?" "8, I replied. Lucy raised her eyebrows. 8 years old and already kinder than half of Lagos. She chuckled. I giggled. "My grandma says we must help people who look tired or sad. She says that's what makes us different from goats." Lucy burst out laughing. "Goats?" I nodded seriously. "Yes. One time, she called our neighbor's son a two-legged goat because he refused to help her fetch water. That made Lucy laugh so hard she had to hold her belly." "Your grandma sounds like a very wise woman." "She is," I said proudly. "She even gave me money this morning for food. But I used it for the bus." Lucy frowned. "Why?" "I overslept," I admitted, twisting my fingers. "I was playing shadow games last night. I didn't want to get punished at school for being late again, so I took the bus." "You're not going to eat lunch?" I shook my head. "I'll just drink water. It's okay." Her smile faded, and she studied me for a second. Then she reached into her small brown handbag. "Let me give you." "No, please, Ma," I said quickly, holding up my hand. "Don't give me money." "Why not?" I looked down. "My grandma says when you give from your heart, you don't expect anything back. She calls it, clean giving." Lucy's eyes stayed on me. Her expression softened. "Clean giving," she whispered, like it was something she'd never heard before but wanted to remember forever. She looked out the window, thoughtful. "Where do you go to school?" "Victory Primary. Near the old market." "That's far. Do you walk every day?" "Most days. Mama says walking makes my legs strong." I grinned, "but sometimes it makes my feet hot." She laughed again and rubbed her belly. "You're a little sunshine, you know that." "People say I talk too much," I teased. "Well, you're talking to the right person today." "I needed this," she said quietly. The bus started to slow. I leaned forward. "This is my stop." Lucy looked disappointed. "Already?" "Yes," I smiled. "Thank you for sitting in my seat." "Thank you for giving it to me," she replied. "I won't forget you, Mona Lisa." I waved through the window once before running toward my school, my feet hitting the dusty ground with purpose. The sun had begun to rise higher in the sky, and the gate was still open. I made it. By late afternoon, the heat had soaked into everything, the road, my skin, even my socks. My shoulders ached from carrying my bag. But I hummed a tune to myself as I walked, kicking a little stone down the path. Vendors were packing up, the air thick with roasted corn smoke and the scent of frying groundnut oil. My stomach grumbled, but I kept going. I turned into our lane, the muddy one that always looked like it cried when it rained. Our house was small. The roof leaned like it had given up. The windows were just wooden shutters. But it was mine, our home. I pulled the curtain door aside and stepped in. "Mama," I called out. Catherine sat on her woven mat, peeling beans into a bowl. Her wrapper was loose, her head tilted slightly. She grunted. "You're back. You didn't get punished today." I dropped my bag and sat cross-legged beside her. No, Ma, I was early. She looked at me over her glasses. How? I smiled. I took the bus. She stopped peeling. With what money? She asked slowly. The one you gave me for food. She didn't say anything. She just kept looking at me. I didn't want to get flogged again, I explained. So I used it. I thought I'd drink water at break. Her hands moved slower now. So, you didn't eat? No, Ma. She clicked her tongue. You didn't eat, and you gave away your seat too. I blinked. How did you know? I didn't. But now I do. I laughed. Her name is Audora. She was pregnant and nobody would stand for her. So I did. Catherine shook her head slowly, but a small smile touched her lips. My daughter is kind, but stubborn. I told her about your two-legged goat story, I added, grinning. She burst into laughter. That boy still refuses to greet me. Let him go. She reached over and pulled me into her side. Your heart is too big for your age. I'm okay, Mama, I whispered, burying my face into her shoulder. We sat like that, the quiet peeling of beans filling the room like a lullaby. Just kept turning the pan of groundnuts slowly, listening to the sizzle and pop as they browned over the fire. Ask, she said finally, her voice soft, not looking away from the flame. Mona Lisa swallowed, pulling her knees closer to her chest. Did my mama smile like me? For a long second, there was only the sound of the fire. Catherine paused her stirring, then slowly set the pan aside. She wiped her hands on her wrapper and turned to face her granddaughter, her eyes catching the glow of the firelight. Your mother, she said gently, didn't just smile like you. She lit up rooms with it. That kind of smile that made even the neighbors forget their own problems. Mona Lisa looked down, biting her lip. I wish I could remember her better. You were small when she passed, Catherine said, scooting a little closer and placing an arm around her shoulder. But I see her in you every day. In your kindness. In how you always ask about people. In how you give without waiting for anything back. Mona Lisa sniffled, quietly, then turned her head toward her grandmother. Were you sad, Mama? When she went? Catherine was quiet for a moment. Then she nodded. Yes, it was the kind of sadness that sinks deep in your bones. Like trying to breathe under heavy water. Her voice cracked a little, but she took a breath and kept going. But God gave me you. And every time I see you wake up and smile, I feel like your mother is still here somehow. Mona Lisa leaned her head on her grandmother's chest. I want to be like her. I want to be strong. And kind. You already are, my child, Catherine whispered, wrapping her arms tighter around her. You already are. The night deepened around them, but the fire held its light. Sparks floated like stars, and the two of them, just a grandmother and a girl, sat there in silence, heartbeats syncing with the quiet rhythm of home. After a while, Mona Lisa's voice returned. Mama, I was thinking, if I ever see that lady again, the one from the bus, I want to give her something. Like maybe draw her a picture or save her part of my roasted plantain. Catherine chuckled. So now you want to share your favorite food too? She was nice to me, Mona Lisa replied softly. She listened. Catherine nodded, serious now. Then if the day ever comes, you will give from your heart. That is what clean giving is. It is not how much you give, but how. They fell into another quiet stretch. The fire grew low, and Catherine gently covered the groundnuts with a cloth and reached for the calabash cup beside her. You're thinking again, she said without turning. I was, Mona Lisa said, blinking slowly. Mama, do you ever wish we lived in a house with a real roof? And a fridge. Catherine smiled as she sipped. Sometimes. But this house, she nodded toward the small wooden walls behind them, has seen laughter, tears, prayers, and dance. I'll take that over cold tiles any day. But, I want to give you more when I grow up, Mona Lisa said, sitting up. I want to buy you a proper mattress. And a fan. And maybe a TV. A fan would be nice, Catherine said, fanning herself with her wrapper. But all I really want is to see you become everything God put in you. That's my reward. Mona Lisa smiled, cheeks glowing in the firelight. She lay back down on the mat, arms behind her head. I'll build you a big house, Mama. With 3 rooms. One for you, one for me, and one for drawing. Catherine raised an eyebrow. Yes, so I can make posters and sell them. Or hang them on the wall like in those shops near the main road. Catherine laughed deeply. Well, we better start keeping your papers safe. They sat like that for a long while, talking, dreaming, remembering. Soon, the fire burned to embers. Catherine stood and stretched. Time to go in before the mosquitoes finish us. Mona Lisa groaned. Can we stay just a little longer? No, Catherine said with mock sternness. You didn't eat all day, remember? Tomorrow you must wake up strong. And early. No more bus. Mona Lisa stood and dusted herself off, gathering their tin plate and calabash. As they walked back into the tiny house, Catherine looked up at the sky. The stars were especially bright tonight. And maybe, just maybe, one of them was shining for her daughter, smiling down on the child she left behind. She held them in for now. The kind that lived in the quiet space behind the heart, not ready to be spoken, not just yet. Instead, she leaned back onto the mat beside Catherine, crunching softly on roasted groundnuts, their warmth still clinging to her fingers. They sat like that, two shadows under a sky full of blinking stars, until the last flame flickered low and the air thickened with night. Catherine gently tapped her knee. Come, Mona Lisa, inside. The mosquitoes don't care if you're grieving or not. Mona Lisa stood, brushing dust from her skirt, and helped her grandmother up. Together, they folded the mat and gathered the empty pan. As they walked into the small wooden house, she felt something she couldn't name. Not quite joy, not quite sorrow, maybe it was love, maybe it was what people meant when they said home. Inside, the room was dim but warm. A small kerosene lantern lit the corner where their sleeping mat lay. Catherine reached for the wrapper she used as a curtain and tugged it into place across the doorway. Wash your hands, my daughter, she said gently, already settling onto the mat. Mona Lisa did as told, using the small plastic bowl beside the door. The water was cool, and she splashed some on her face too, feeling it wake her up just a little before sleep. When she crawled under the wrapper beside her grandmother, the house groaned slightly with the wind. Catherine pulled her close and whispered, I prayed every day when I lost them, but God answered with you. Even if I never get anything more, He has already done enough. Mona Lisa didn't reply, she only turned into the warm curve of her grandmother's belly, her fingers wrapped tight around Catherine's old scarf. And she slept. The next morning came too quickly. The rooster crowed before the sun even peeked over the rooftops. Mona Lisa groaned and rolled over, but Catherine's hand tapped her gently. Up, before that teacher uses your back as blackboard, she warned, her tone half stern, half amused. I'm up, Mama, Mona Lisa mumbled, eyes still closed. No, you're not, Catherine replied. If I come back and see you there, you'll fetch water till your hands turn to yam. That made her sit up, blinking at the weak light coming through the slits in the wall. Her uniform hung nearby, still a little wrinkled from yesterday's walk. She put it on quickly, tightening her belt with one hand and smoothing her blouse with the other. Her stomach rumbled. Is there pap today? She asked, already hoping. Catherine handed her a small plastic cup with warm OGI inside and a piece of leftover plantain wrapped in old newspaper. Eat fast. And this time, no bus, no story. Yes, Mama. Catherine studied her. You have money for lunch. Mona Lisa hesitated, then nodded. Yes, I do. I won't use it for transport today, I promise. Good girl. She handed her a folded dollar bill. Put it in your pocket. And if anyone asks for it before break, tell them your grandmother will find them and pull their ears. Mona Lisa laughed and tucked it safely into her sock again. I will, Mama. On the way to school, the street was still waking up. Roosters crowed. Women with basins on their heads sold boiled corn and groundnuts. Mona Lisa passed two younger children arguing over a broken toy car. As she walked, her mind drifted again. She thought of Lucy, the pregnant woman from the bus. Her kind eyes, her soft laugh. She wondered if Lucy had gotten to where she was going safely. Maybe she had reached a hospital. Or maybe home, to someone waiting. Maybe she'd have her baby soon. Would it be a girl? Would she name her Mona Lisa? She giggled at the thought. Victory Primary School came into view just as the assembly bell rang. She tightened her steps, quickening her pace. She didn't want to be late again, not after yesterday's sacrifice. When she reached the school gate, she paused and took a deep breath. It smelled like dust, chalk, and a bit of morning hope. She joined the line of pupils forming near the dusty field, adjusting her uniform one more time. "Mona Lisa," a voice called. She turned. It was Jack, her seatmate in class. His shirt was untucked, and he was chewing on a twig like it was a snack. "You were almost late again," he teased. "Not today," she smiled. "I woke up early. Your hair's scattered," he added with a grin. She stuck her tongue out. "So is your face." He laughed and nudged her gently. "Come, let's go before Mr. Femi sees us talking." They joined the rest of the class, hands behind backs, heads forward. But Mona Lisa's mind still wandered sometimes. During the national anthem, during morning math, even when Mrs. Shinyari was yelling about times tables, she'd glance out the open window and think about Lucy, about her parents, about the way Catherine held her that night. And something grew inside her. Not sadness, not anymore, something stronger. That evening, after school, the clouds grew heavy. It looked like rain. Mona Lisa rushed down the lane with her bag bouncing behind her. Children were still playing in the street. One boy slipped in the mud. Another girl was pretending to cook sand with bottle caps and a stick. She waved at them but kept moving. By the time she reached home, the sky was crying already. Soft rain pattered the zinc roof above, like fingers drumming softly on a secret. Catherine was inside, sitting on her mat, shelling okra. "Welcome," she said without looking up. "I didn't spend the money today," Mona Lisa announced proudly, holding it out. Catherine looked up, surprised. "You didn't eat." "I did. I brought Gary and groundnuts from home." Catherine took the money and nodded. You're learning." Mona Lisa settled beside her, pulling her wet socks off. "Can we go back to the borehole later?" she asked. "In this rain, it's just drizzle." Catherine narrowed her eyes. "Do you want to catch cold or do you want to fetch water?" "Both. You're stubborn. I get it from you." They both laughed. Outside, the rain kept falling. Gentle, soft, familiar. Inside, a girl and her grandmother sat close, their hearts still carrying the weight of memory but now holding something lighter too. Hope was sitting on her low stool, peeling the skin off boiled yams when Mona Lisa burst in, excitement trailing behind her like a gust of wind. "She's here, Mama, the lady from the bus. The one I told you about, Lucy." Catherine raised her head slowly, squinting toward the doorway. Her hands paused mid-peel. "The pregnant one?" she asked, not unkindly, just cautious. "Yes." Mona Lisa grinned. "She came to my school today. She wants to talk to you." Before Catherine could speak, Lucy appeared behind Mona Lisa, stepping carefully over the broken threshold with both grace and humility. Her green Ankara dress hugged her baby bump, and her eyes searched the room kindly. "Good evening, Ma," Lucy said softly, dipping slightly in greeting. "I hope I'm not intruding." Catherine stood, adjusting her wrapper with quiet pride. "Ah, not at all. You are welcome. Please come in." Lucy smiled. "Thank you." Mona Lisa pulled over a small wooden stool, while Catherine gestured toward the mat near the window where the light still lingered. Lucy sat carefully, exhaling as she settled. "I hope the child is kicking well," Catherine said, her tone warm now, her curiosity no longer hidden. "Oh, yes, Ma," Lucy chuckled. "Too much sometimes. I think she'll be a footballer." Everyone laughed, including Mona Lisa, who sat at her grandmother's feet, eyes darting between the two women. After a short pause, Lucy's voice grew more serious. "Ma, I came because I want to talk to you about your granddaughter." Catherine nodded slowly, lips pressed together. "I'm listening." Lucy looked down at her hands, then back up. "That day on the bus, I was exhausted, sweating, and feeling like I would faint. No one looked at me. Not one adult. But your granddaughter, this little girl, stood up. Without being asked." Catherine looked at Mona Lisa, who was blushing now, her eyes fixed on the floor. Lucy continued. "She reminded me what kindness looks like. Not because it was big, but because it was honest. Pure." Catherine said nothing, but her eyes glistened. "I own a children's fashion brand, Ma. We sell both here in Nigeria and abroad. For years, I've been looking for a face, someone with a spirit that speaks through the eyes. When I saw Mona Lisa, I just knew. Catherine's brows lifted. You want to make her model? Yes. With your permission. Of course, she'll be paid. We'll provide clothes, school supplies, transportation. It will not affect her education. If anything, we will support it. Catherine studied her carefully. She was old, yes, but her eyes had not lost their sharpness. Why her? She asked finally. Why my granddaughter when there are so many? Lucy leaned forward slightly, placing a hand on her belly. Because she didn't see my tired belly or my sweaty face. She saw me. She gave from her heart. And that is something money can't buy. Mona Lisa looked up, eyes wide. Mama, can I do it? Catherine looked at her, then turned to Lucy. This world is not always kind to girls who shine early, she said softly. Sometimes, it burns too bright and draws envy. Are you sure you'll protect her? I swear it, Ma, Lucy said sincerely. Like my own. Catherine let out a long breath. Then you have my blessing. But I will come with her on the first day. Just to be sure. Lucy nodded, smiling with relief. Of course, Ma. Thank you. Later, after Lucy had left, promising to send a driver on Saturday, Catherine and Mona Lisa sat on the same mat, this time beneath the soft hum of a buzzing lantern. Mona Lisa was quiet again. You're thinking, Catherine said, shelling roasted groundnuts into a plastic cup. I'm just happy. Nervous too, Mona Lisa said. Catherine looked at her. Do you know what makes a person truly beautiful? Mona Lisa shook her head. It's not the clothes, not the skin, not even the smile. It's what sits in the heart, and flows out in the things we do without expecting praise. Like giving a seat, Mona Lisa whispered. Yes, Catherine nodded. Like that. The wind whispered against the walls, and outside, the neighborhood slowly began to rest. But inside that tiny home, something had shifted. A door had opened, and Mona Lisa was ready to walk through it, with her grandmother by her side. Said, over and over, like a prayer and a declaration at once. If he brought this woman to our door, then he will walk with us wherever we go. Mona Lisa, still groggy from sleep, sat on the edge of the mat hugging her knees. Her small suitcase stood by the corner, a faded blue box with one broken zip and a sticker peeling off the side. She watched the room as if trying to memorize every little part of it, the old basin with a crack near the rim, the hanging tin cup, the scent of kerosene and palm oil that always meant home. Mama, she whispered, what if I don't know how to do all they ask? Catherine turned from the pot she was stirring. You will learn. Even butterflies don't fly the first day they leave the cocoon. But, what if they change their minds? Catherine walked over and knelt beside her, wiping Mona Lisa's forehead gently with the corner of her wrapper. They won't. But if they do, it changes nothing. You are already enough, my child. They are not making you special. You were born special. Mona Lisa didn't speak. She just leaned into her grandmother's side, letting herself be held one more time like the small girl she still was. When the black SUV arrived just after noon, the village fell into a hush. It wasn't every day that cars like that came down their red earth road. Children stopped mid-chase. Women fetching. Water turned and stared. Two teenage boys ran ahead of the car yelling, "It's her oh. It's Mona Lisa." Lucy stepped out first, her dress soft blue today, and her baby bump wrapped in a sash. She moved to the passenger door and opened it with care. Are you ready, sweet one? She asked, smiling. Mona Lisa stood with Catherine at her side, dressed in her best clothes, an old white blouse tucked into a skirt too big for her frame, tied with a belt made from leftover wrapper. Yes, Ma, she whispered, gripping Catherine's hand tightly. Catherine adjusted her head tie and walked slowly with Mona Lisa toward the car. When they reached it, Lucy opened the back door for her, but Mona Lisa didn't get in just yet. She turned to the crowd of neighbors gathered behind her and waved. Some waved back, some just nodded silently. Mama Nkechi, the woman who sold yam by the junction, was crying quietly into her wrapper. Mama, come with me, Mona Lisa said, holding her hand out. I am right behind you, Catherine replied, resting a steadying hand on her stick. I said I would go, didn't I? She looked at Lucy. You promised a room for me. It's ready, Lucy assured her. There's a small veranda too. I think you'll like it. Together, they got in. Lagos greeted them like it always does, loud, hot, and full of endless motion. Cars honked like angry geese. Hawkers chased moving buses with cold drinks and chin-chin in plastic bags. Mona Lisa pressed her face to the window, taking it all in, the flyovers, the glass buildings, the people in suits and slippers walking side by side. The private school was tucked behind tall white gates, a name painted in gold letters across the front. A guard waved them through. Inside, children played on a well-kept lawn. A woman in a green uniform walked over to greet them. "You must be Mona Lisa," she said, smiling. "And this is your grandmother. Welcome." The room prepared for Catherine was small but tidy, with a proper mattress, curtains that reached the floor, and a fan humming softly in the corner. Mona Lisa touched everything, carefully. The shelves, the clean sheet, the writing desk. Lucy gave Catherine a stack of documents to sign. She explained everything with patience. The modeling hours, only weekends, the school schedule, the meals, the tutors. "We'll go slow," she said. "She's a child first. The rest will follow." Mona Lisa's first modeling shoot happened the next Saturday. Catherine was allowed to sit in the studio's corner, arms folded, eyes narrowed with silent watchfulness. The studio was white and open, with lights so bright they made everything shine. Mona Lisa wore a yellow dress with tiny pink flowers and a straw hat. She stood in front of a backdrop while a man with glasses guided her. "Just smile. Think about something that makes you happy." She thought of the bus. Of Lucy's tired face softening when she offered her seat. Of the fire by her grandmother's mat. Of warm roasted groundnuts and Catherine's hand stroking her cheek. And she smiled. Click. The camera snapped again and again, and the woman behind the screen said, "Perfect. She's a natural." Afterward, Catherine walked over and held her hand. "You looked like your mother today." Mona Lisa grinned, sweat glistening on her forehead. "Did she wear hats like this too?" "No," Catherine said, "but she lit up when she laughed. Just like you." Weeks passed quickly. Mona Lisa made friends in school, though her accent made her shy at first. She learned to take photos, to pose gently, to speak with a little more confidence. But she still visited her grandmother every evening, sitting on the veranda, peeling oranges or reading stories aloud. One night, as they watched the sky turn purple outside the staff quarters, Mona Lisa turned to Catherine. "Mama." "Yes, my child. If I become famous, if people know my name, will I still be your little girl?" Catherine didn't answer right away. She reached out and pulled Mona Lisa into her arms, hugging her tight. "You will always be my little girl. Even when your face is on every magazine, even when you're taller than me, even when I'm too old to remember what day it is, you will always be mine." Mona Lisa nodded, letting herself be held. It was a quiet night, with stars just beginning to appear. She didn't know what the future held. Maybe more photos, maybe fame, maybe more goodbyes. But for now, she had a room with a view of her grandmother's window. She had clean water, books, and dresses made just for her. And she had her name, Mona Lisa Esso, the girl who once gave up her seat on a bus, not knowing it would change her life. For an interview with the girl who had captured the hearts of a continent. "Who is she?" the headlines asked. "Where did she come from?" Mona Lisa Esso, with her pink beaded ponytail and her gentle spirit, had gone from a muddy street in a forgotten village to the billboards of Victoria Island. But for all the world's attention, the girl herself hadn't changed. She still helped fold clothes in the studio when the shoots were done. She still ran to her grandmother's room every evening to talk about her day. She still remembered the woman on the bus, Lucy, who had looked at her and seen something more. The return to the village was slow and quiet. Lucy, now almost due, chose not to go with them. Instead, she sent Uchi and another assistant named Bissy, who packed the SUV with gifts, food supplies, new clothes for Catherine, books for Mona Lisa, and small boxes wrapped with colorful bows for a few of the neighbors. When they arrived, word had already traveled ahead of them. The villagers lined the road. Some held folded hands in prayer. Others clapped and sang, children bouncing at their feet. "She's back. Look at her cheeks, eh? Lagos is feeding her well. See Mama Catherine's walk, like Queen of England." Catherine smiled but stayed quiet. She had never been one for noise. Mona Lisa waved shyly at everyone but clung tightly to her grandmother's side. They visited the graves of Mona Lisa's parents first. The headstones were simple, carved with care. Catherine bent slowly to clean the weeds around them while Mona Lisa placed a bundle of yellow flowers at the base. I told them about you, Mona Lisa whispered. Catherine looked over. What did you say? That you said I smile like Mama. That I look like Papa when I frown. I told them I hope they're proud. Catherine nodded, tears brimming. They are. And so am I. Later that afternoon, neighbors brought food and gifts. An old man brought a carved walking stick for Catherine. A young woman gifted Mona Lisa a hand-sewn bag with her initials stitched into the fabric. And Jack, the boy who used to tease her in class, stood at a distance watching her. When Mona Lisa saw him, she smiled. Hi, Jack. He nodded, scratching the back of his neck. You look famous. Mona Lisa giggled. I still remember when you ate chalk in class. Jack's eyes widened. You promised you'd forget that. They both laughed, the tension between them falling away like dry leaves. You're not too famous to write letters, are you? He asked shyly. No, Mona Lisa said. You just have to write first. As the sun set, the village gave them a quiet farewell. Some people whispered, she's leaving us. Others said, she'll come back for all of us. But Catherine, standing beside the car once more, raised her walking stick and said firmly, we are not leaving. We are expanding. What God gives to one, He does not take from the others. We will return. And with that, they drove away. Back in Lagos, life settled into something beautiful and balanced. School began again. Mona Lisa wore a new uniform, crisp white and deep green. Her desk was by a window that looked out onto the garden, and she quickly became friends with two other girls, Aisha and Tiwa, who shared her love for drawing and stories. Modeling sessions happened only twice a week. Lucy, now a mother to a healthy baby girl, brought the baby to the studio often, letting Mona Lisa hold her between takes. She likes you, Lucy said. She sleeps best when you're around. Catherine's room remained her safe space. Some evenings, she still lay beside her grandmother, head on her lap, listening to old folktales while the fan hummed above them. Mama, she asked one evening, do you think they'll forget me back home? Who? Catherine asked. The villagers. The kids. My old school. Catherine touched her face. No. They will see you in every girl who dares to dream. That's what light does. It spreads. Mona Lisa smiled. One Saturday, Lucy surprised them with a small gathering. You've done so well, she said, handing Mona Lisa a wrapped box. Inside was a silver necklace with a tiny charm shaped like a book and a pencil. You're more than just a pretty face, Lucy said. You're a storyteller, a dreamer. And Mona Lisa, for the first time, felt something shift. She wasn't just Faith Esso from the village. She wasn't just the girl on the billboard. She was someone becoming, someone blooming. She started keeping a journal, writing small poems and stories about the bus ride that changed her life. About the grandmother who gave up everything for her. About the quiet girl who sat in a corner classroom and gave her seat to a stranger. And she promised herself this. No matter how far she went. No matter how loud the world clapped. She would always return to where it started. A bus. A tired woman. And a choice. Because kindness, once given, travels far, even to places we don't expect. Opened her eyes slowly, like the weight of the world was resting on her eyelids. Her lips moved, dry and weak, barely forming a whisper. Mona Lisa. Mona Lisa leaned in quickly, grabbing her grandmother's frail hand, tears springing instantly to her eyes. I'm here, Mama. I'm right here. Catherine blinked slowly, her eyes scanning the dim room, her breath thin but steady for that moment. Did you wear the green dress? She asked faintly, the ghost of a smile brushing her lips. Mona Lisa let out a soft, tearful laugh. Yes, Mama, the one with the little silver buttons. You said it made me look like a Christmas queen, remember? Catherine nodded slowly, then turned her gaze to the window where the curtain danced in the breeze. Her voice came again, this time even softer. Did I do well? Mona Lisa's heart broke a little more with each breath. She held her grandmother's hand tighter and kissed her fingers. You did more than well, Mama. You raised me with nothing but love and stories and strength. You gave me the world when you had nothing. You gave me everything. Catherine didn't speak again for a long while. Mona Lisa sat beside her, humming that same old Igbo hymn her grandmother used to sing on rainy nights, the melody shaky from emotion. Outside, the city lights began to flicker on, but inside, the room was lit only by the soft glow of a bedside lamp and the warmth of memory. Lucy arrived later that evening, walking in quietly with her baby strapped to her back. "How is she?" she asked, voice low as she reached Mona Lisa's side. "She woke up," Mona Lisa whispered. "She talked. Just a little." Lucy placed a gentle hand on Mona Lisa's shoulder. "She's waiting for something. Or someone." Mona Lisa didn't respond. Her eyes were locked on her grandmother's chest, rising and falling ever so faintly. "I can cancel everything for the next 2 weeks," Lucy said softly. "The shoots, the interviews, everything." Mona Lisa shook her head slowly. "Just keep it quiet. Don't tell anyone. I want this time for us." They stayed in the room until midnight. Then Lucy left quietly with her baby, and Mona Lisa curled up on the floor beside her grandmother's bed, holding her hand through the blanket. The next morning, Catherine was still breathing. Weakly, but still there. That day, Mona Lisa didn't leave the house at all. She cooked for her, fed her slowly, carefully wiping her mouth between spoonfuls. She sang. She prayed. She read her parts of her schoolbook just like she used to when she was younger. And in the quiet of the evening, Catherine stirred again. This time her eyes were clearer, and she looked straight at Mona Lisa with a smile that only came from deep, peaceful knowing. "My child," she said softly, "your light will shine even when I am gone. But promise me." Mona Lisa bent closer, tears slipping silently down her cheeks. "Anything, Mama, anything. Promise you will still laugh. And eat. And rest. And marry love, not money." Mona Lisa laughed through her tears. "I promise." Catherine nodded and closed her eyes again. Her hand went still in Mona Lisa's. But the warmth lingered. Later that night, she passed gently in her sleep. There was no storm, no cries, no thunder, just peace. Mona Lisa stayed beside her, holding her hand long after the nurses arrived, long after Lucy came and covered her with the same wrapper she had used when carrying Mona Lisa as a baby. The funeral was held in the village. Lucy insisted it be simple but beautiful. Mona Lisa chose the hymns. Jack came with his parents, now taller and more confident, and stood by her side through the entire service. She lived like a queen, the pastor said. But she raised a star. Catherine was buried beside her daughter and son-in-law, under the mango tree behind the old house. A white headstone was placed at the foot of her grave. Faith engraved it with one sentence. She gave all, and left love behind. After the burial, the villagers gathered around Faith. Some hugged her, some just nodded. Mama Nkechi handed her a small clay pot. "Your grandmother said you'd know what to do with it," she said. Faith smiled. She always knew everything. Lucy stood beside her, silent for a moment before saying, "We'll return whenever you want. This is still your home." Mona Lisa looked around at the old compound, at the dust, the laughter, the mango tree with its branches bending in the wind. "I'll always come back," she whispered. Back in Lagos, the world waited. Faith B fashions continued to flourish. The press wanted new photos. UNICEF sent invitations. Magazines asked for interviews. But for 2 weeks, Mona Lisa Esso stayed away from it all. She planted the clay pot from Mama Nkechi in her balcony garden. She made yam porridge just like Catherine taught her, sneaking extra palm oil on purpose. She kept her grandmother's Bible beside her pillow. And every night, she looked up at the ceiling fan, just like that first night in Lagos, and whispered, "I'll be okay, Mama." And she was. Because the world would always see the model. But she would always know who she truly was. The little girl who gave up her seat on a bus. And was raised by a woman who taught her that love is the greatest light of all. "We'll take care of her now, won't you?" Lucy's throat tightened. She knelt beside the bed, taking Catherine's frail hand into hers with both of her own. "Yes, Mama, I will. I promise with my life." Catherine gave a small nod, her eyes flicking between them, her granddaughter and the woman who had become like a second mother. "Don't let her forget who she is," she whispered. "She is not just the girl in the magazines. She is the girl from the red mud, the girl who walked to school barefoot and still gave what little she had." "I know," Lucy whispered. "And I won't let her forget." Catherine turned to Mona Lisa, her voice now thinner than the breeze outside. You are my crown, my last laughter, my beginning and my end. I can rest now. No, Mama, Mona Lisa sobbed, clutching her hand. Rest later, not now. I still need you. Her grandmother smiled, a soft, sleepy smile. You already have everything you need. And then her hand relaxed in Mona Lisa's palm, her chest gave one final rise and fall, and she was gone. A hush filled the room, too full of love to call it empty, too full of memory to call it silence. Lucy stood slowly, pulling Mona Lisa into her arms as the little girl cried like a storm no camera could catch. The nurse bowed her head. Outside, the trees whispered, as if they too had lost a queen. The funeral came swiftly. The nation mourned. News outlets ran headlines, the grandmother behind the legend passes on. Catherine S.O., the root that raised the rose. Mona Lisa insisted the burial be in their village. She wanted Mama to rest beneath the same mango tree where she once told stories and peeled groundnuts. Lucy agreed. Everything was handled. People came from everywhere. Designers flew in from Ghana. Jack and his family arrived early, bringing bundles of plantain and a long letter Jack had written but never sent. Neighbors who once watched Mona Lisa chase tin cans barefoot now wore matching ankara and sang hymns with heavy eyes. Mona Lisa wore no makeup. Her dress was simple, white, with a beaded belt Catherine had sewn for her on her 9th birthday. As she stood before the crowd, holding a microphone in small trembling hands, she said, "My grandmother once told me that when you carry love, you carry light. And light does not fear darkness. It shines until the very end. Mama was my light." She paused, swallowing hard. "And now, it's my turn to shine for her." She bent and placed a single mango leaf on the coffin. "Sleep well, Mama." Back in Lagos, Mona Lisa became quieter, gentler. The girl who had once filled hallways with laughter now walked slower, more inward. She still did photo shoots, still appeared on runways, but she always asked for a moment before the flash, just a second to close her eyes and whisper, "For Mama." She started writing more. Poems, short letters, stories about her childhood. She wrote one called The Mango Tree Never Forgot, and Lucy helped her publish it. It sold out within 2 weeks. One night, after a late shoot, Mona Lisa sat on the steps outside the studio. Her head was tilted back, eyes lost in the stars. Jack walked up quietly, now almost 12, taller and still carrying a small backpack of snacks. "You okay?" he asked, sitting beside her. "I miss her," Mona Lisa said. "She used to say the stars were angels peeking through heaven's roof." Jack looked up. "Then tonight must be a party." Mona Lisa smiled weakly. "Do you think she's proud of me?" "I think," Jack said carefully, "she's up there right now telling everyone that the whole world finally saw what she always knew." Mona Lisa laughed softly. She would do that. They sat in silence for a long while, until Jack offered her a chin-chin bag. "I saved you the big pieces." She took one, chewing slowly. "Thanks. For what?" "For still treating me like Mona Lisa, not Mona Lisa S.O., the model." Jack shrugged. "You're both. But I like this version better." Mona Lisa looked down at her lap. "Sometimes I don't know who I am without her." "You'll find out," Jack said. "She raised you strong." The invitation to London remained. Lucy waited until the 40-day mourning period had passed before bringing it up again. "Mona Lisa," she said one morning at breakfast, "the shoot is still on. They're still waiting for you. We can go whenever you're ready." Mona Lisa pushed her cereal around her bowl. "Can we visit Mama's grave first?" "Of course," Lucy nodded. "Always." They flew back to the village that weekend. Mona Lisa laid a new white cloth over the grave. She sprinkled it with flower petals and read aloud a poem she'd written. After a moment of silence, she whispered, "I'm going to London now, Mama. You always said I'd go far. I'll be thinking of you on every step." As they walked away, Lucy wrapped an arm around her. "You're not going alone. You have me, and you have her, in here." She tapped Mona Lisa's heart. London was unlike anything Faith had seen. Cold, fast, full of red buses and gray skies. But she stood tall. The shoot happened in a garden lit by fairy lights. Mona Lisa wore a long red velvet coat and held an umbrella shaped like a butterfly. Behind the camera, designers whispered, "She's not a child, she's a symbol." They didn't know that just before each flash, she whispered, "Mama, this one is for you." They didn't know that her necklace carried a tiny mango charm. That her notebook had Catherine's last words written over and over again, "You will never be small again." They didn't know, but she did. And that was enough. The laughter in the playroom echoed through the marble-floored estate like music, soft, warm, and alive. Mona Lisa held little Ika close, burying her face into the child's soft curls. Her voice was quiet but full of meaning. "You're my grandma all over again," she whispered. "My second chance to hold her. To love her back." The toddler smiled, then wiggled away, grabbing a bright-colored drum and banging on it with her tiny hands. "Grandma Ika is noisy," she shouted proudly. Across the room, Lucy leaned against the doorframe, watching them with a tired but grateful smile. "This house would be too quiet without the two of you," she said. "I don't know what I'd do without you, Mona Lisa." "You're the one who gave me a home," Mona Lisa replied. "But she's the one who gave me life." She glanced at the small framed photo on the bookshelf, Catherine, wrapped in her favorite blue wrapper, smiling with her head slightly tilted like she always did when she told a story. Her voice echoed in Mona Lisa's head, "You will never be small again." Now, at only 11, Mona Lisa Esso had walked runways from Cape Town to Paris, but she still tied her own shoelaces. She had land in Abuja, but she still scrubbed her own school shoes on Saturdays. She was the face of the biggest African fashion label, but every night before bed, she sang a lullaby to a 2-year-old girl named Ika. Because Catherine had made sure that no amount of spotlight could outshine the love that raised her. Later that evening, the three of them sat on the balcony overlooking the Lagos skyline. Ika was asleep in Lucy's lap. Mona Lisa sat cross-legged, sketchbook in hand. "I've been thinking," she said. "About what?" Lucy asked, brushing Ika's curls. "I want to start something," Mona Lisa said, her voice firm. "A foundation. For girls like me. From villages like mine. Girls with big hearts and bigger dreams." Lucy's eyes widened. "Are you serious?" "I want to call it the Firefly Project," Mona Lisa continued. "To help children who just need one person to believe in them. One chance." Lucy wiped the corner of her eye. "Your grandmother would be so proud. I just want her light to keep burning. Even if she's not here." Lucy nodded. "Then let's do it. I'll help you every step of the way." Mona Lisa looked up at the night sky. The stars blinked gently above, just like Catherine used to say, angels peeking through heaven's roof. She whispered again, "Thank you, Mama. I'll keep singing." If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories like Mona Lisa's, stories of love, legacy, and light. Drop a comment below. 1. What would you name a foundation started in memory of someone you love? 1. Or tell us, who was your Catherine? That one person who changed everything. And always remember, kindness creates legacy, love lights the way.